There's a brand new French diet that's sweeping the globe, the Dukan Diet. It brags that you can eat anything you want for the rest of your life and never gain a pound. I'm not sure about that part of it. 50 million French followers claim that this is the secret to being skinny. In fact, Kate Middleton and her mother reportedly have turned to this diet to prepare themselves for the big wedding on Friday. Here now to weigh in on this craze is Joan Salge-Blake. She's a registered dietitian and nutrition professor at BU. Now, I happen to have read about this last week in USA Today.
Okay.
And they were talking about how many people have found success on this diet, but they had some cons with this diet as well. So you're here to sort of lay that out. Okay, so first let's just talk about what is this diet?
The diet is just a high-protein, low-carbohydrate diet, and there's some red flag claims that you may want to be thinking about.
Now, didn't Dr. Atkins already do this diet?
Doesn't that sound quite familiar? Flash from the past. Absolutely. So similar, very high-protein, low-carbohydrate diet. So we've heard this before.
Yeah, we certainly have. Let's get started with the first red flag, if you will. Man is a carnivore.
There we go. I call this the prehistoric red claim. Here we go. Yes, man, millions of years ago they were hunters, but they were also gatherers of plant foods as such. But remember, back then you lived about maybe age 30, okay? I'm hoping to go a little farther, just a smidge, okay? And we know now, based on good science, that the diet for longevity is less protein-rich foods and more plant-rich foods, such as whole grains, fruits, and vegetables.
Okay, so this diet is not calling for a lot of that.
No, it is not, because it's a high-protein, low-carbohydrate diet.
All right. This says that you don't have to count your calories.
Right. You don't have to count your calories because the carbohydrates in the first phase are so restricted, other than non-fat dairy, that all you're eating is, meat, fish, poultry, organ meats as such. So, of course, the calories are going to be counted because you're so restricted you're not going to eat a lot. And there's some health concerns about that also.
Sure, absolutely. You can eat unlimited quantities of some foods.
Right, here we go. This is the all-you-can-eat buffet red claim as such. That's probably what got you into this weight problem to begin with. But again, you're just eating a lot of this meat. And so whenever you're doing that, it's going to be very monotonous. You're going to get bored with the diet, and you're going to cut back. But, there's problems with that. You're going to have too much possibly saturated fat. You're going to start to feel maybe nauseous and tired because it's a low-carbohydrate diet. And to top it all off, constipation may be coming your way.
Well, that'd be enough to just call it quits right then and there. And another thing is, I think that you'd start to crave those carbohydrates so badly, right? I mean, I'm a high-protein eater, but not to that extent.
We know that protein will give you satiety at each meal, that feeling of fullness, but you don't need the whole meal being protein.
Right.
It's a balance.
What does it do to your cholesterol?
Well, it's so high in saturated fat. And we know that those, meat products, we want to get them down and more whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, which are good for your heart.
You will initially lose between 4 and 7 pounds.
Here we go.
That's not surprising. In the first phase.
Right. The first phase, which will last about a week. It is impossible to lose 7 pounds of fat in 1 week. You can lose a lot of water in the first week, but we know when you first get that first taste of carbohydrate back, what happens? The weight comes back on because the water comes back on.
Sure. And certain fruits are off limits in this diet.
I was scratching my head about this one because for some reason bananas and cherries and grapes are off limits because they, quote-unquote, contain too much carbohydrate. But when you think about it, all fruit contains carbohydrate, and a handful of grapes is the same as a small apple, which is okay on the diet.
Right.
So it's never one food or food group. It's the calories that really count.
Yeah, if I read correctly, the diet really calls for just berries, right? More than anything, berries and apples.
Right, it's very limited. Mother Nature will never steer you wrong. So fruits and vegetables are very kind to your waist.
Berries, they have a lot of natural sugar,
of course
right?
They do. Of course they do.
All right, and then finally, starches need to be severely limited.
Okay, now we know, based upon science, good science, that people who have followed the Mediterranean diet, natives in the Mediterranean, we have science that goes back to the 1960s. Their diet is full of carbohydrates, whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. These are lean people. They're fit. They have a long life. And you know what else? They're not constipated either.
There you have it.
There we go. We got everything.
So having said all of that, you do subscribe to the idea that maybe you don't need as many starches in your life as we have here in this country.
What we want to do is get rid of the less sweets and treats, the bakery type items, but more whole grains and really more fruits and vegetables, which we are falling short of. And those are the things that we need to be getting more in our diet. Those are the good carbohydrates.
It's that white flour starch that's killing us, don't you think?
It's the bakery. That's what's killing us.
Stay away from them. Oh, we don't want to say that.
No,
I mean, there's
just
nice
a little
bakeries
bit,
out
right.
there. Just do it in limited amounts.
Right, sweets and treats, but not at every meal.
All right, well, great advice, like always. We are very pleased that you could be with us, and we look great together.
I know, very colorful.